Recording is on.
And goddamn, we are live. Welcome everybody to another episode of You Know What? Let me just say podcast. I am your host Ray. With me as always, we got Fada
I need a blunt.
and we have Dion.
Yo,
Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Eh.
he just blurted out he needed a blunt, so he can't be doing all that good.
I'm
What
just
about you?
bored.
Yeah, it's been a boring Thursday, man.
It's been a
Yeah.
boring 2020.
Out of everything that happened, you bored?
Yes.
I mean,
You got to understand, I have not been out.
Yeah, a lot of people haven't been out. You kind of yeah.
define out.
Going out. Outside.
Like the most I've done is probably gone to my nephew's football games. But other than that, I ain't really like out. I've had liquor prepared just for a get together, and I still have not cracked that bitch open. So that liquor's gonna be sitting there for a while. Well,
Well,
first things first, yeah.
I can
What
help you
was you
get rid
gonna-
of that.
I don't. I mean, I would drink it by myself, but I don't want to. That was the thing. I didn't want to.
I can help you with that. Where are you again?
You're not gonna be drinking all my damn liquor. Damn it.
I'm not gonna drink all of it, just maybe 75% of it.
Yeah, you stay your blockhead ass at home. Anyway,
Oh shit!
before we get started, I would like to say shout out to my nigga Offset for getting back in them Cardi B drones.
Mm.
I- hey man, hey, marriage is complicated. Every marriage is complicated. I just want to say that. And also, shout out to Cardi B's titties because I don't understand. Well, first of all, they look good, but I don't understand how people can say yuck or disgusting. I don't understand men.
They're titties. They're titty. No, what else do they need?
I don't. A lot of people was like yuck and disgusting.
Yeah,
People are
those are the
weird.
same. Yeah, those are the same niggas that probably wouldn't be able to find a clit unless somebody pointed it out to them.
And then they still wouldn't know the exact spot.
Tony just stepped in. How you doing, Tony?
What's good, fellas?
That's it. Nothing much. We about to get started. Okay, so gentlemen, what do you want? Where do you want to go? We could talk about this Meg the Stallion article. Father wanted to talk about. We could talk about Ice Cube and his plan, and or we could start with Bill Burr's SNL monologue.
Let's start with Bill Burr.
Mm.
Okay. All right, Dion. You is as especially want to talk about this, and basically, if anybody hasn't seen it, Bill Burr. If anybody watched Saturday Night Live, anytime someone hosts a show, they start off with a monologue. Bill Burr basically was known comedian, had a monologue, and he had this one segment where he was getting on white women. And long story short, he was kind of getting on white women, and he basically said, "Hey, man, y'all have been part of this fucking up people of color, especially black peoples too. So don't act like you like basically take over the woke movement and all that other stuff." And white women, as just they was mad. So, gentlemen, how do you feel about that Bill Burr monologue at first place? And was he right?
Absolutely.
Go
Not
ahead.
one
Go
word
ahead.
he said was false. Not one word he said was false. So whoever's upset with him for saying what he said, they they need to do some soul searching. They need to like really like look around. But the
They
thing
need to
that
take
kind
a
of
look at the
made me
damn.
say right the thing that kind of made me say okay, this is something that's actually discussion worthy. And you I shared it in the group chat, but Ray, you had said that you had seen it before what that chick, what was her name, Chrissy or whatever, was saying about that segment.
Christy.
Yeah. So basically, she was talking about how white women can't handle criticism, and then she went on to talk about how black women go through that type of criticism on a pretty much on a day-to-day basis. Now, from what she was saying, there's some things that, for one, I do agree with, but on the other, yeah, there were some holes. There were some holes. A big one that who was it? I think it was Fodder that pointed this out, was that you know she had no business mentioning black men in that argument at all, and
That was
she
me.
more or less took
Yeah,
it
that
as
was
an opportunity. She did kind of use that as a way to kind of sneak this black man. She really did.
That was me.
All right, so that's one thing that kind of had me like, okay, no, because the thing that's not the thing that she failed to kind of include in her argument, part of white people's, I guess, what's the word? I guess part of the systematic thing with
systemic.
white folk was putting black men in these different screwed up positions, and you know black women kind of getting screwed over as a result, I guess. Or I guess so she was trying to put it, but that's all part of white supremacy. That's all part of this whole white supremacy thing. The thing that made me laugh actually was when she started talking about the whining and complaining of, who was that? Just all the whining and complaining of white feminists. See, here's my thing. This is one of the things that I was like, okay, she does have a point with this. When she brought up how white women benefited from this patriarchy set up, by white men. On one hand, you know, they just kind of had to sit back and ride the wave. You know, you got this whole thing, you got everything set up to where pretty much white men are kind of on top of everything. So as white women, or pretty much not just white women, but pretty much anyone attached to a white male, you know, and it could be whether you're in,
Well,
a straight or a homosexual
What's
relationship
up?
or whatever. Oh, yeah. Regardless of what position you were in, like I said, if you're attached to a white man, you just kind of have to, just ride that wave. Even if that wave is a tidal wave of blood money. And I get what she was saying about how it seemed how white feminists in particular are kind of going at Bill Burr because you, well not white feminists, but people who are kind of against feminism, I meant to say, are kind of seem like they're going at Bill Burr because shit that he's saying kind of goes against these white women who are pretty much living comfortably in their in their privilege, in their white supremacy privilege. I think that's the biggest like I think that's like the biggest gripe with Bill Burr's statements in that segment that people seem to have. But again, everything Bill Burr said was completely and totally true.
Is
I
that
don't.
it, Dean?
What'd you say?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Shining Wolf just dropped in the building. How are you, Shining Wolf?
I'm doing good. So we
We
had
just Yeah, we're talking about the Bill Burr SNL monologues and the woke white feminists getting mad at it. You actually the first person to show it to me. So, what was your opinion on what he said?
I think he was spot on, even though nobody like certain people don't want to admit it, but it's like these white women complain about pretty much white feminists complain about every little micro transgression. They complain more than anybody else. They pretty much complain more than anybody else do, but they got the most privilege. I just think it's just hilarious. It's comedy gold. How are you like the most like one of the most privileged persons in the world, yet you complain the most and the loudest about every little micro thing?
But see, if I may answer that, that comes with being spoiled.
Yo, yeah. Well, yeah.
That
That's
comes with
exactly what
being
it is.
spoiled.
Yeah, because they definitely protected, and they've definitely been spoiled throughout their history. I mean, ain't nobody got it like 100% easy, but all things considered, they are pretty spoiled group of women.
It's like, damn, y'all are again, even as much as they bitch, yeah, y'all are primarily protected under this whole white patriarchy thing. They've been put on this pedestal as a result of it, and it's just like, what more do you want?
The
There's
answer is
literally nothing else anyone can give you anymore.
Hey,
yeah.
Father, what you think?
So I mean, Bill Burr ain't saying nothing that nobody knew. You know what I'm saying? Only real people that had an issue with it was the people that he sniped when he went on that monologue. And if you got sniped, you holler because a hit dog will holler. And so, so yeah, like all the people getting mad at Bill Burr, and I'm like, what you mad for? The truth is the truth. You know what I'm saying? It's not like and I know he's telling the truth because he's a white man, so I know he's telling the truth. You know what I'm saying? So like
Hold on. Can I add some? Who is married to a beautiful black woman at that? I just wanted to throw that in there.
get that shit out of here. So anyway,
His wife is gorgeous. That's all I got to say. His wife is gorgeous. That's all I got to say about that.
we,
But
yo,
anyway,
we don't swirl around these parts. But anyway, um, as I was saying, yeah, Bill Burr, he told the truth, and he told the truth as a white man. And I think those are the white people that I respect the most. The white people that just tell it like it is. It's like, here, we live in a system of white supremacy. I benefit from it, and white women benefit from it because she's my woman. So of course she's gonna benefit. Yeah, she gonna cry about being oppressed. Yeah, she gonna cry about women's rights and Trump touched my vagina and shit like that. Yeah, you're gonna have those type of things. But look at the shit that you got. You know what I'm saying? What's the face of lesbians? White women. What's the face of the feminist movement? White women.
White
What's the face of fucking the book clubs around America? When you look at a book club, who's the face of that? White women.
Oprah. It's like that.
Is it Oprah?
It's like that. White
You know
women.
what I'm saying?
White women.
Like white women are the reason why when black girls who have low self-esteem, they get weaves and wigs and shit like that. Not to disrespect anybody who's wearing them, but that just goes to show you that the standard of beauty in America was white women. So people
Around the
change up the
world,
look
not
accordingly.
just
Yeah,
America.
around the world. So the concept of whiteness is global, and white women have been, the main perpetrators of this. And they like to cap and say that, well, we're oppressed too because we're women. And I'm like, yeah, but the thing is, you're a woman, but you're white. So that white supremacy is going to overtake any oppression that you go through. And if you do go
Racism.
through oppression, you can use that same white supremacy within your circles to try and do something about it. Y'all got the money, y'all got the resources, and there is nothing more progressive in America than a self-made white woman who done came off of an abusive marriage. They will fucking, like throw parades around that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? The Me Too movement was hijacked by white women. The fucking Black Lives Matter for a very long time, it was all white people, especially white women with BLM in their fucking bios in there talking about, I'm so progressive, look at me. And I'm like, bruh, at this point in time, like, if you have a movement that wants to get something done, you can bet your sweet ass some privileged ass white woman is going to try to make herself the center of it.
Right.
I guarantee it. So
Or
yeah,
make,
Bill
mo-
Burr ain't saying
or
nothing
make
wrong.
money off of it too.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Oh yeah, white
But I
folk are
found
good
that's
it.
for
the shit
that.
they do.
White folk are good
I,
for that.
And
I found it funny how Bill
you
Burr.
want to know what
How
the
Bill
best
Burr
part
said,
is? You want to know what the best part is? They don't even have
no.
to speak English because them Hispanic white women. Mm.
Hmm. Yeah, kind of have a point. Tony, what you think about it?
I mean, y'all mostly said everything that I really was going to say. Um, yeah, I seen a Bill Barr. I seen a Bill Barr a couple of days ago, and man, he's chewing everything. I seen a lot of people on my Facebook feed was talking about how he was a lot of the LBGT community was talking about how they gave him more days than Black History Month. But I mean, he was spot on by everything.
I like how when he brought up the part about how when white women would be caught with a black dude, then they would say that it was unconsensual.
And they get
I
killed.
laughed so hard at that part.
I
Yeah,
like how he threw that in there. That little Me Too nod.
yeah, he has a point. There's a couple of white men there's a couple of brothers that went with the white woman, kind of like damn near went to jail for life because a white woman said that he raped them, even though it was consensual. But they get caught by the daddies. It's just like it's a black man. He tried to rape me, and then all of a sudden he go to jail for life and shit. It's happened. There's a lot of men that went to jail for that. Damn it, Emmett Till lost his life just because he whistled at a white woman, or so she said. She lied about that. So, but my great. Okay, I thought what Bill Burr said was funny and all that other stuff, and just like y'all, it's like he did speak the truth. The video that Shiny Wolf sent me, and the problem I had with that video in particular is not that she said that white women, he only was like a fraction that was light of what he did, because yeah, it was light what he did. Didn't have a problem with that. I didn't even have a problem when she said that white women don't get it as bad as black women do. It could be. I feel like that could be debated, but I'm not going to disagree with that because like black women have gone through some slander, especially in this year. Black women has definitely gone through some slander. The part and Dion did put it up. I felt like because a lot of, like I said, some of the YouTubers, I feel like they have personal agendas and all that other stuff. I've seen a lot of Chrissy's videos, and she has this way of, if it's not about a black man, she will find some way to make it about a black man, and that shit kind of like once I heard that, it was just kind of like, I don't want to say pissed me off. It was like, God damn it, she did it again. Because a lot of these women have agendas, and you can sometimes hear it in their voices, and I don't want to call her bitter, but it did kind of sound bitter the way she kind of like projected it. And to me, it was just like, this has nothing to do with black men, nor unless it really didn't have to do with black women. It was a white man that was talking about. It was a white man that was talking about white women and the bullshit is yeah. Black, like I understand we was used as an example, but we was not really the main course of it. So I didn't see the reason for her to bring black men into this, nor even bring black women into this. I felt like she should have just like commented on what she saw and just um
Just left it alone.
yeah, said her piece. Now don't get me wrong, I don't like it when when men, especially black men, when it has nothing to do with black women, you put black women into it. Like this vice versa. I don't like when black men do that either. It's just like it has nothing to do with them. So I don't want to. I just want to throw that out there. It's but oh, what I wanted to say. Yeah, overall, I thought it was really hilarious, and Bill Burr has done stuff like this. But another thing is, I've also said this because a lot of black women, like I said, I do think it's debatable because maybe because my experience in the Navy and I've been around white people, and a lot of because I think a lot of women think that black women get most disrespect. I think white women do get a lot of disrespect towards their white men. You probably and it's like you can look on the internet with the MGTOWs or anytime like a girl has a Twitch account, they call them Twitch thoughts and all that other stuff. Some of the women that uses their privilege and OnlyFans, like there's a couple of white men that will like say some heinous things about some white women that I don't think even black men will say about black women that if a black man is saying you would have looked at him like a coon or some shit like that. I'm pretty sure there's a couple of them out there, but I've heard some white men say some terrible things about some white women. Like
So
I
the
don't
first,
see no brother calling another black woman fire crotch like that dude did Lizzie Lohan, and and
hey,
like how
another Joan we heard on the ship. The first time when I joined the Navy, I never knew what a cunt was, and it's
yeah
like I was like,
Damn.
what the fuck is a cunt? And it was and
yeah
females.
Ooh,
You
yeah.
can call a white girl a bitch, but as soon as you say cunt, oh shit, hell broke loose. The
Yo,
fuck?
that actually happened in my division too. One of my white friends called a white girl cunt, and she was about to fight him.
Yeah, white women hate that word cunt. I was on Facebook and I saw these two white women talking about they should ban the word.
Well, huh, sure.
And yo, you know what other word white women don't like, and I find it weird? They don't like the word moist.
I don't think anyone likes that word.
Moist.
What is wrong with the word moist? I
Moist.
don't understand. Like that's how I describe a cake. It's like it's good and moist, but other than it. But anyway, like I've heard white men like trash, like so, like damn near trash their women to where it was just like, damn, it's like this is how you really feel about it. Like if a woman, like especially in the Navy, if a woman had like an EP, like the first thing they'll say is she probably sucked some dick to get in it with fucking slut. It's just, and I don't think it. And if y'all think that is like y'all don't see it much, maybe because I see it a lot because they don't hide it. The white people they will definitely call you a bitch or. As Tony said, they'll call you a cunt in like a girl's face or something, especially if they don't like you. Especially think like if like them extra macho people that think men are just better than women at everything. Yeah, a chauvinist like they will definitely call a white woman a cunt. But that's just me. Anyone else have anything to say before we move on to our next topic?
Mm. Mm.
Take it.
Nah.
Yeah, I take
Mm.
it. I take it. Let's move on. So I wanted to also talk about people getting on Ice Cube because uh, he put out a plan that, in his words, he reached out to both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, and basically, and I'm paraphrasing what he's saying is like he reached out to both parties. The Democrats said they'll look at it right after the election, and the Republicans like took that and made their platinum plan, and they ended up thanking Ice Cube, and then I guess that's where everybody's looking at him and giving him the side eye. I've heard people call him a coon. I've heard people try to throw the Malcolm X, celebrities can be bought things, but I think those people never knew Ice Cube's history. Like, there's some people that have problems with it, and there are some people who's just like it's better than nothing. Gentlemen, what do you think about what Ice Cube did?
That's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to take your agendas to both parties and see who's going to give you what you want and what you need. And whichever one does that, the one that you pander to. Like, black people need to stop with this thing where they automatically have to go to the Democrats, and the Democrats ain't doing a goddamn thing for you. We already talked about this like several times, but
Yeah,
I
because
guess
I was
no.
about
I
to
guess
say I'm still on my both the Democrats and the Republicans ain't shit. So
mm, well, you can stay walking around in circles, but you ain't gonna get nowhere because we gon' like all these other people gonna get what they need from the Democrats, but as long as we not demanding nothing, we ain't gonna get nowhere. We gonna stay exactly where we've been staying at. And that's all I got to say about that.
Tony, what you think?
I think the same thing. I think the Democrats and Republicans, they just use us as a word of mouth and say we're gonna get shit just to get the votes, and then when they office, it's like fuck us. I mean, who would come up with a name called the Platinum Plan? When he was looking at a fucking ludicrous video or some shit like that, and was just like, you know
Oh,
what?
Big Thomas video.
Like yeah, like platinum is nice, and then we get a side chicken with a side plan with it. It's like, why would you name it the platinum plan when it's for black people? That sounds stupid as fuck. And then it's stupid, man. I mean, I think a lot of white people, they be trying to just do too much to try to get our votes, and then when we end, they just say fuck us.
Yep. He gonna say that we're gonna talk about when after the election. I'm like, well then it's gonna be too late then, because I'm going with whoever's going to suit my needs. It's like when you it's like a hypergamous woman dating somebody. If you ain't got what she want, then she ain't getting with you. If you ain't got what she needs, she ain't getting with you. She gonna go to whoever got what you need.
Yeah, I've said that definitely. Father, what did you think?
So of course, at first when I saw it, I was skeptical. I was like, "Yo, what the fuck is Brother Ice Cube doing? You know, that's my brother." And then I was like, and then and then I said, "You know what? I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait because it's like that fucking situation with Jay-Z and NFL, and niggas was calling Jay-Z a coon because why you working with the same people that did that shit to Kaepernick and shit like that?" I'm like, I'm gonna wait for that brother to do what he need to do. Because one thing about black people that I don't like, especially when it comes to politics, we fucking react before we get the facts. And that's the one thing I really don't like about black people in politics. So I was like, let me wait to see what this brother is doing. So then when Ice Cube came out with the tweets and clarified that he reached out to both Democrats and Republicans, and as Ray said that the Democrats wanted him to wait till after the election to look at it, and then the Republicans immediately said, hey, I'm looking at it now, and then one of Trump's people said, thank Ice Cube, which I actually think they did that shit on purpose to make Ice Cube kind of look weak. But I digress on that. I feel like at this particular point in time, the Democrats and the Republicans, neither one of them deserve our vote, if we really want to be honest with it. Both of them have undermined black people. Both of them have continuously disrespected black people. And both of them have created black people to be this type of party where, we're just going to get their vote and we're going to get all these celebrities to advocate for us. And then we're going to have strippers come out and tell people to vote. And then we're going to have barbershops of paid actors and shit like that to have this. And I'm like, y'all are really playing with black people. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are really undermining these people that have been here for centuries, not even damn near built the motherfucking country that these motherfuckers come here and build on and working. And now y'all just treating them like they just ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? But I also have to hold the black community accountable because for far too long, we let the politically ignorant within our midst be too fucking loud. You got the Negroes that sit there talking about, well, just vote Democrat because, anything's better than Trump. And then you also got Negroes on the right talking about, well, Trump did all this shit for black people, so I'm voting for Trump. And I'm like, both of them didn't do shit
what?
for none of y'all. You know what I'm saying? So at this, yeah. So like at this particular point in time, it's fair game. If you got if a particular party has something that's going to push the agenda of black people and further us as a people, I'm willing to listen. It doesn't it's like I don't have to like who the motherfucker is. Everybody don't like Trump. You know what I'm saying? Let's be honest. But if Trump came out tomorrow and said, I'm gonna sign a bill right now that says black Americans get this much amount of money and this much amount of land, you know how many black folks is gonna run around fucking wearing MAGA hats? You know what I'm saying? So You know, we did that shit for Democrats, and now niggas is looking at the and now when niggas want to look at the Republicans because the Republicans responded, now all of a sudden, Ice Cube is a coon, and I'm like, yeah, okay, you don't have to like Trump. Yeah, you can. There was a Negro on fucking Twitter that was sitting there saying, well, why didn't he do this in the beginning? Why didn't he just go to Trump in the beginning? And I'm like, if you don't shut your bitch ass up, first of all, we all established that nobody likes Donald Trump. We've all established this. Ice Cube in 2016 said he would never fucking advocate for Donald Trump. And he has kept that promise to this day. Just because Donald Trump responded to his platinum plan doesn't mean he's going on wearing the MAGA hat like Kanye West did when he said we got dragon energy. That's not the same shit. You feel me? So let the man work. And if we gonna get some shit, then we gonna get some shit. And if we not, then we back to square motherfucking one. Because at this particular point in time, even if Trump won the election tomorrow, you know what I'm saying? Even if Trump won, 4 more years of Trump ain't gonna do shit to the black community. We've been through worse. We survived Reagan. We survived Bush. Trump ain't gonna be shit. That's all I got to say.
Vast majority of Trump's bullshit that he would attempt to do has been blocked for real.
Yeah, like that
So
wall.
it's yeah, his funding for that wall been got stopped. He's not getting that wall.
Right.
um, I looked at it two ways. One way is the way y'all all explained it, that these Democrat and Republicans probably not going to do shit. Because I said it first. Because I said that too. I said I don't knock what Ice Cube did, even if like the Republicans responded first and everybody was reacting. I looked at it and said I don't knock what he did because MLK was working with J. Edgar Hoover, and Hoover didn't like black city either. Hoping I'm getting my history right, but um, but basically MLK had to work with a president that wasn't for his people. Sometimes a lot of people, and again, I had to not to bring up my Navy career thing, but the one thing they do teach us is you're going to have to work with someone you don't like, but the mission has to get done. So I kind of like took it at that approach. So with that being said, I said Cube could have done this, and like I felt like the Democrats and the Republicans probably dissed him in a different way, but the same way. Like Republicans looking at it now, taking their plan and saying it was his, but giving credit to make him like Father said, make him look weak. It was like, oh, it was thanks to IQ, Ice Cube, the man that said they would never advocate for Trump. This guy gave us this plan. So, and the Democrats has probably looked at him like, oh, thank you for this plan. We'll look at it after, and probably will never, ever get to it. So I looked at it like that. So, but my other way is looking is like, hypothetically speaking, because I'm not trying to put this into fruition. What if Trump does get into office? Do I feel like he is going to do this plan? Part of me thinks he is because if anybody knows, he has this disdain for Obama that a lot of people think Obama, a lot of people look at Obama as, still the best president we done ever have. Obama could have put us in slavery, and some of our black folks would still think he's a better president than Donald Trump. Let's be real about that. But I feel like he's petty enough because there are a lot of people that say this. I feel like Trump is petty enough that because a lot of black people do say that Obama hasn't done anything for Black America. Yes, he's done for stuff for LGBT, but not really for Black America. I feel like Trump, if he does this plan, he could basically say, "I did all this, and your president Obama never did none of that." So obviously I'm your favorite. I'm the best president ever by default. I feel like off of pettiness he could do this, not just because he likes black people, but just to prove a point that he wants to be your favorite president. Because and the only reason I say that is because after like 2 days after COVID, he was like, "Hey guys, it's me, your favorite president." Now I don't know if he was trolling or not, but I'm pretty sure like a lot of people really do think of him as the best president. There's a couple black Republicans is like, "Oh, you're the first black president," over someone who's actually black. So I just like it's one of those things. I feel like two things can happen: the way that we discussed it and Trump being petty. And I don't. I do feel like he's petty enough to do it. Do y'all think he's petty enough to do it?
I was
Petty ain't the
actually
word to
thinking.
describe him.
I was actually thinking that he might bullshit on after the election too, though. But I mean, either way, it could go either way. But I think that him bullshitting on it after the election, he might say that now. But I think after the election, he gonna backpedal on it. I mean, but we'll see if anything at all happens about that.
All right. Any last words before we move on to our next topic? Then
Stop
Hashtag
being
fuck them
emotional.
both.
Well,
What
Hashtag
about
fuck
you?
them both. Fuck them both 2020.
also shout out to Nigeria because I know they're going through their bullshit too, and I hope they get their shit settled. That shit is crazy out there. What the fuck is going on in Nigeria? But I wanted to get into this basically this article that Father done sent me about Megan Thee Stallion and like she not only that she had this old like little commercial, I guess was it a voting commercial, Father, or was it trying to get people to vote?
It was just an opinion piece. She just made a video. She just made an opinion piece. That's it.
Can you explain it? Because I watched it, but I feel like you can explain it better than me.
Okay, so essentially, Megan Thee Stallion had posted an opinion piece on I think the New York Times, and basically she was going, she was doing her whole activism shit about. She was talking about how the black woman is the most unprotected, and she was also kind of co-signing Kamala Harris and calling her a black woman and things like that. And she is right now she's on that activist tip because she just went through a traumatic experience, and a lot of the things that have been perpetuated about her being a liar or saying that she's faking it or saying that Tory Lanez is innocent when all the evidence pointed out that he was actually guilty. And not only that, her story has stayed consistent the entire time. And she went on it was the New York Times, and she went on there and she was just saying that right now, like, cases like Breonna Taylor and black women dying at the hands of police and shit like that, like, it needs to change. She's like making her voice known. And I thought this was very interesting because first of all, she's right. Black women do need to be heard. Black women do need to be protected. Black women, have been at the forefront of activism for a very long time. And she was also making the tip that they're unprotected. They do it unprotected. So she's not saying anything new. You know what I'm saying? Which is my point. But what I've noticed about the article is two things. Number one, she likes to interchange the black women with women of color, and that's a huge no-no, especially for right now, because they are two separate things. Black women are one thing. Women of color are another. You know what I'm saying? So we can't have that type of language going around. That's like if I was talking about black people and I kept saying people of color. That's a huge no-no because it undermines black people. The
Can
other
I
thing,
can I say, hey, wait, Father, real quick. Can I say one thing real quick? Just specify like who falls under that category of, people of color, women of color. Just for the masses. Whoever's
mixed,
listening to this, whatever.
mixed people, Hispanic people, Arab people, just people like minority groups who aren't black, pretty much.
Right. And
So
just
those are the people.
all right.
And yeah, and another thing that I also wanted to talk about was this. She was co-signing Kamala Harris, and I want to
Uh,
find what she actually said real quick. Let me see, because she was let me see, where is it at? Where's it at?
Walking the path paved by such legends as Shirley Chisholm, Loretta Lynch, U.S. Representative Maxine Waters, and the first black woman to be elected to the U.S. Senate, Carol Mosley Braun. My hope is that Kamala Harris' candidacy for vice president will usher in an era where black women in 2020 are no longer making history for achieving things that should have been accomplished decades ago. You talking about that?
Yes. Now, so I found that part very interesting because for a very, very, very long time, Kamala Harris, well, first of all, Kamala Harris is Indian and Jamaican, right? And she's biracial. And yes, her father was Jamaican. Her father was a black man. Therefore, that makes part of her makeup black. So technically, you would be correct when you're saying black woman, but she's not solely a black woman. She's also an Indian woman as well, which makes her biracial. And it's very important that we make that distinction because a lot of times biracial people were used to undermine black people's representation, and they were kind of used as like the replacement. I'll give you an example. If I think we were making an example of Storm being played by someone who's biracial. You know what I'm saying? Like it wouldn't have the same impact because we all know Storm is unapologetically black. When you think of Storm from the X-Men, you think of a black woman. I'm not
For
thinking of
those who know her
biracial.
backstory, she was born in Egypt.
Right.
So
And right. So if you're going to cast a biracial woman and then you're calling her black to parade this idea that, oh, look, a black woman is playing Storm, you know what I'm saying? That could have went to a woman who has dark skin complexion, who probably doesn't get a lot of exposure to the media in the first place because she's been undermined, and now she's been replaced by this biracial woman, and it's not fair to her. You understand what I'm saying? Not to say that the biracial woman isn't worthy of the role, but we have to make distinctions. Otherwise, people are going to start getting erased. So now if you like, hypothetically, if you're advocating for a certain group or you're giving money to a certain group, and then you say this is for black women, but all the black women in that group are biracial, you know what I'm saying? Now you can see where it gets a little messy. So when you're calling her a black woman like that, it kind of muddles the water here because now you're setting a precedent that, oh, I'm biracial. Therefore, this is the lane I'm going to step on because, biracial is black. And I'm like, if you do that shit, a lot of people are going to get angry. A lot of people are going to get erased. And a lot of people are not going to have a lot of opportunities. Because if a black woman is going for a certain role and a biracial person is going for a certain role, the biracial person is going to get priority because he has a closer proximity to whiteness. You understand? Yes, they still get oppressed. Yes, they still get shitted on, but they have a closer proximity to whether it be phenotype or whether it be the lighter skin tones and shit like that. They have a closer proximity to that. So it wouldn't be fair for people to just assume that biracial people who have black in their bloodline are just black. You understand? That's the point I wanted to make about that. And the one thing that I took away from this opinion piece is that what Megan is saying, well, a lot of what Megan is saying is true. Obviously, she's advocating for black women. I just want two things. Number one, I just want it to be specifically about black women. I don't want to hear no people of color. I don't want to hear no women of color or none of that, because for far too long, they've been riding our coattails and we've gotten absolutely nothing of benefit when they were riding our coattails. So we have to make a distinction there. And then number two, I don't want Megan Thee Stallion to be this, new symbol of intersectionality, because intersectionality on a collective level has done nothing to benefit black people. I'll give you an example. If someone is black and gay, right? They are part of the black community and they are part of the LGBT community. They are going to tell you, I experience homophobia from the black community and I experience racism from the LGBT community, right? So that would mean that would be a case of intersectionality on an individual level. You can advocate for that. That exists. You can do something with that, right? But if you're saying that because you experience both in both entities, if you're saying that black people need to get with the LGBTQ because we are both minorities and we're both oppressed, then why are you still experiencing racism from the LGBTQ community if it's supposed to be intersectional? And that has been my point the entire time, and to this day nobody has been able to dispute that or refute that. So I'm like, okay, so now that we've established that intersectionality on a collective level does not benefit the black community, because the pockets of people that are intersectional with other groups still get shitted on through racism. So where's the intersectionality? You understand? How would that benefit us if all these people are racist? That's why we can't go with that people of color shit. That's why we can't advocate for other groups. And when it comes to advocacy, we have to make sure that we're getting ours first, because a lot of people have used our struggles to get up, and then they look down on us as if we ain't shit and we pull our bootstraps, tighter enough. And I don't want Megan Thee Stallion to become a symbol of that, because right now it is very, very easy to fall into that whole Black Lives Matter, black men ain't shit. It's very easy to fall into that type of thinking now, because it like all the ingredients are there. Megan Thee Stallion got attacked by a black man. You know what I'm saying? And then not only that, but there was other people that was shitting on her, telling her story is fake, that was caping for Tory Lanez and shit. So that type of energy can turn into something that's not going to benefit us real quick. And I just want Megan Thee Stallion to be careful of what she's saying. I see what you're saying, and I agree with what she's saying, but just make sure that your narrative is consistent to benefit Black people, instead of trying to do this, intersectional, women of color, solidarity, Black Lives Matter type shit. You know what I'm saying? So,
Okay, so Father, I have this question, and I think we've talked about it many a times. Um, do you believe in a one drop rule?
I do not.
You do not, because there's a lot of. Because I'm not gonna lie, my father actually believes in the one drop rule. Like he will call Kamala Harris black because he was like,
Yeah.
the one drop of black rule is black and all that other stuff. So my
Hey,
thing
Ray,
is, yeah,
a lot of older people believe in the one drop rule very heavily. Like my mother does too.
and I guess this is where I'm coming from, because I've seen it a lot of this generation. Especially when it comes to biracial people, it's like
Mhm.
they don't consider them black. They just mostly think they should be considered mixed. Where I guess where a lot of the older generation is like they still go with the one drop rule. So this is why I feel like we need to. I've always said that there's got to be a discussion of what's what is an acceptable, because I think, because some of the most biracial people, they like overachieve their blackness and all that, and then there's a lot of biracial people that admit they're biracial. So my thing is just like, for the biracial people that will just say they black, period, do we accept them as black, or do we kind of just accept them as biracial?
I have an answer. Okay, so I have an answer for that, right? Um, so if
Hmm.
you, so let's say someone is biracial, they're black and white, right?
Yeah.
Let's put Logic in there. Logic is black and white. Let's put that nigga in there. So he's part of the black community because one of his parents is black, so he is part of the black community. But to say that he's just black would be wrong, because he also has a white parent as well. He's biracial. Yes, he's still part of the black community, but he's also part of the white community too. Even if he wants to denounce it, that's completely fine, right? You can denounce it and you can completely assimilate with black people, but we have to make that distinction. Otherwise, if you get a certain role, if you're put in a certain position that says it's supposed to be for black people, but you're biracial, it muddles the waters. It erases a person, that like is fully black. You understand? And I'm not trying to play that whole blood quantum shit. Obviously, we're not trying to mitigate your blackness, but if if you have someone that has two full black parents versus someone who has one black parent, you know what I'm saying? Then there's a distinction, right? They made the distinction when they made that child. So that child is going to grow up a certain way. He's not going to experience the same racism as that child with two black parents is going to experience it. So that's why there needs to be a distinction. It's not to mitigate anything, or it's not to say that you're less than. It's just saying that this is what you are. This is what I am. We're going to go through different things based on who we are. It doesn't mean that we're less than human, or it doesn't mean that we're less than anything. But the way that we maneuver and the way that people are going to look at us, you are going to be awarded certain privileges that I'm not going to get. You know what I'm saying? Because your white parent gave you a proximity to whiteness that a full black person doesn't have. That's just what we're saying. But they're still part of the black community. They're still our brothers and sisters. We're not going to kick them out for anything. Just that distinction needs to be made so black people don't get erased.
Okay, so what? Okay, what about the people? And I'm just trying to like. I've always said that we need to look at the one drop rule again because scientifically I kind of get it. If you put Hershey's chocolate syrup into white milk, it turns into chocolate milk. But I also feel like we need to look back at the one drop rule for what you said, the distinction, especially like some of the Afro Latin community, especially Dominicans, that they don't really consider themselves as black. They really consider themselves as, Dominican and all that other stuff. Even though they're probably as dark or darker than most of us on this panel. So I don't know. How would you go about the distinction?
I mean, the distinction has, like I said, the distinction has already been made. When if a black man and let's say an Asian woman have a baby, that distinction has already been made because he decided to, procreate outside of his race. Again, ain't nothing wrong with that. That's his personal choice, and the child shouldn't be punished for that. But that's the distinction that was made. You have now made a child of two races. He belongs to the Asian woman, and now he belongs to the black man. You know what I'm saying? So these are two cultures that have mixed together to create a unison that is representative in that child. So when that child grows up, he's not going to just be raised with black shit. He's going to be raised with the Asian shit too. You know what I'm saying? And when you have that type of thing, yes, that child is still going to be part of the black community because he has a black parent, right? But they're not going to go through the same things as a person who is fully black is going to go through. And when that distinction is made, because when you look at a lot of biracial people and their experiences with, like, let's say racism, you come to find out two things. They usually say shit like this: I don't know why black people just won't accept me. I don't know why white people just won't accept me. They usually say some shit like that, usually. So that just goes to show you that black people, we don't experience that. You know what I'm saying? If we have two full black parents, then that dichotomy doesn't exist. My mom is black, my dad is black. There's no confusion. I'm black, right? If a Chinese kid, Chinese mom, Chinese dad, I'm Chinese. I don't have to choose anything. I'm just Chinese, right?
Right.
So a biracial person, they're a product of two cultures. And now let's say a biracial person doesn't have their dad around. So it's just their mom and her culture. And let's say that that biracial person, going back to the Asian example that I gave, let's say the dad left them, and now the biracial person is left with their Asian mother, and they raised them Asian their entire life. So when you meet that brother, you're gonna be like, hey, okay, he's biracial. He has a black parent. He's like, yeah, but I've been raised with my Asian mom, so I consider myself what? Asian. That's the distinction. That's where it gets muddled because yes, they're still part of the black community by virtue of that parent. But if they were raised in an entirely different culture, can we really, embrace him the same way as we embrace a biracial person who grew up with their black side? But yet, if you ask a biracial person, they'll be like, "Yeah, I've had struggles with my identity." Black people who have two black parents don't have that type of dichotomy. That's why the distinction exists.
Shining Wolf Dion, do y'all have anything to say?
I had a question, but he had already answered it. So, and that question was just being, what would you say to those who kind of try to pick and choose when, what they want to be identified as and when?
That's another thing. And you know what, Dion? You actually brought up a good point. That's another thing. There are some biracial people that like to pick and choose. And actually, Kamala Harris has actually done that. She's actually done that. There are videos of her saying that she's an Indian woman.
Yeah, her with Mindy Kaling, the comedian Mindy Kaling. She was talking about
See,
how like
Another
her mom
example
was
is
Indian
Doja
and
Cat
stuff like
too.
this. Say it again, Shining Wolf.
I said another example would be Doja Cat as well.
Oh yeah, definitely Doja Cat.
do we really want to? It's hard for me to even hear her name without cringing. So I was like, do we even really want to include her in this conversation?
Just
Well, it's an
just
example.
as an example.
I guess. Again, it's difficult for me to hear her name without cringing a little bit because we all know that story, so I'm not even going to go there. Anyway.
Is that your moist?
Close enough to it. Close enough to it.
Doja Cat's your moist is.
It's just it. It was for her to do what she did was heartbreaking for me, just for the simple fact that I actually fucked with her music, but then she started doing and saying the dumb shit that she was doing and saying, and it was just like I can't rock with you.
Okay. All right, that's fine. Father, go ahead, finish your point before we get off track.
Yeah, but like that's just what I guess that's just what I like wanted to bring up because like again, I read the article. I thought Megan Thee Stallion, obviously her heart's in the right place. Obviously she does want to do shit for black women and she has done stuff for black women in the past. And I'm very proud of her. You and I, Ray, we've seen her grow into the artist that she is now. We were there from the very beginning. So I'm very glad to see that Megan is getting this attention and, she's actually doing good work. I just don't want it to become this kumbaya, sister girl, let's shit on black men, type shit. Because we've already had enough of that. And that narrative does absolutely nothing to solve anything. Because I'm solutions based. I want solutions first before anything. And you're not going to get anything done by yelling men are trash at the top of your lungs. So let's just make sure that we're using the proper narratives and the proper context to actually offer solutions. Because I want to see black women win. I want to see black women, be successful. I want to see black women get into positions where they can empower themselves and then empower the black community because they are the absolute best when it comes to that. But let's not use that narrative to push a certain kind of ideology that to lift myself up, I'm gonna, demonize this certain group. That's all I want.
Anybody else before we move on to our final thoughts?
No, not really. I pretty much agree with everything Father said regarding the main topic of the I guess people trying to hijack black causes with the whole people of color thing. I agree with that 100%. Like that whole people of color thing totally takes focus off of black people. Like the progressive blacks be so quick to say people of color, there's women of color, but women of color are doing a lot better than black women. So women of color are fine. It's black women and black people in general that need help.
Facts.
Not people of color. People of color are doing a lot better than black people are in America and even in other places of the world. Not just America.
Facts.
So yeah, we need to cut that people of color language out of our particular bucket, out of our own vocabulary when we're talking about our issues.
And if you really want to be technical, black is a shade, not a color. So yeah.
I think the definition is a spectrum, some shit like that.
Shade, spectrum, whatever. The point is completely
and so
different
is
category.
white. That's why and so is white. That's why we always say it's always black and white. That's what.